What is good, guys? Charles from Team COG. Coming at you guys here with my Crusadia deck profile from the CLS. I took this to the CLS, and for those who don't know what the CLS is, because you're not familiar with the channel, I'm always going to explain to it. It is an ARG event, a separate circuit than Konami's official events that is being done in the Midwest in Denver, Colorado. So it was an 86-man tournament, the biggest turnout we've seen since the pandemic has started. And yeah, I just went down hoping to do my best and ended up getting clapped at my best. I just think that Drytron is a war crime. But my matchups were round 1 was Infinite Track. That was the only game I won. Round 2 was Drytron, which I went to game 3 with. But if they put up the vanity ruler and you don't have your out for it, there's not much you can do. That match actually was quite hilarious. He actually ended up going into Borrelsword and attacking to Avermax, not knowing that Avermax would win. And then the game 3 was actually just it was so infuriating because he combos off my 6th card is Droll and Lockbird. And that's how it be. But then the next match was Zombies, and I lost that due to my own misplay. I Cosmic Cycloned the Zombie World and not the one set card out of fear of Zombie World. It was just a stupid mistake on my part, and Super Poly exists, and I do not like Super Poly. The fact you can't respond to that card makes it even more stupid than what it should actually be. But then after that, it was Drytron, and then I dropped from the main event after I got my hand into my cheeks clapped one more time by Drytron because that deck is just completely busted. And then I went on to a Winnabox. I ended up beating Dinosaurs 2-0, pretty easy there. And then I played against Subterror Dragoon, or Guru Dragoon deck. That was pretty rough. He just, that deck practically has Floodgate plus hand traps, and that's what my deck really struggles against. And then by that time, after getting beat all those times, I called it a day. But to be completely honest with you guys, if you guys want to help support the channel, please hit that join button down below. It helps out 100% a lot. And if you guys cannot support that way, check out the teamcogcompany.site. We actually will be hopefully having these type of field centers, the Queen of the Forest field centers, be available here soon. I'm working with the Kami TCG to get these printed for you guys, and right now it's just trying to get the funds set up to mass order them, so then both me and him, come out even where we're not making any negative negs on these. But this is beautiful again. My man Kami TCG made these. Check him out. Anyway, guys, to go ahead and tell you guys something about this is I ended up winning every dice roll. Yeah, 100% I won every dice roll. It's just my Skull Dread draws were awful. Were super awful. Now, so this is not the Halifibrex variant. This is the Waterfront variant. And the reason I want to tell you guys is I had extensive testing with the Halifibrex variant. And I can go ahead and tell you that if you do not negate every Drytron or every virtual card they activate, you're not going to win. All it takes is one to go through. That's where Gamma Seal is just the way to go in that particular matchup. Now, what I mean by that is in the Halifibrex variant, you will end on 4 interruptions very easily, but only 2 or 3 of those interruptions can interact with Drytron names that activate in the hand and or graveyard. So then those 2 other or 3 other names, because they went first, that they have the ability to power off with, that is what will allow them to break your board, because that deck just inherently pluses so much. Same with Virtual World. If you just if they hold back and then they resolve Lulu because you've already blew your Crystal Wing, your Rafflesia, or your Gossip Shadow, you sadly lose. So this list right here was made to practically combat those decks so that, when the turtle touches down, the turtle can negate everything. And that's really what I wanted to do. And to be quite frankly, honest with you, I won every dice roll, like I said, but my draws off Skull Dread were so bad. And by that, I mean, I have so many cards I could draw to make my hands better, but I continually drew the same Crusadia names that I had already used that turn. And that's how it was. To be 100% honest, Avermax held down the fort way more. Avermax was on my board every game. I didn't even see Waterfront, guys, the entire event. And there was some games where I drew 6 cards the entire time. And that's just because my Skull Dread draws didn't even get me into the other powerful superior extenders that I had. And that's just, it's just crazy, but it's bad luck. It is what it is. But without further ado, I will go ahead and show you guys the list. We are rocking the 3 Maximus, the 3 Leonis, 3 Draco, 3 Reclusia, and then 3 Arborea. So something did come up, so this was ruled against me. If they have, it was Aquamax versus a Zeus. Zeus is face up on the field. You summon Reclusia, Reclusia's effect to target itself and target the Zeus. Zeus is chained. You chain Aquamax, attributing the Reclusia to negate the Zeus. It was ruled that Reclusia could not destroy the Zeus. However, I asked the official Judges Lounge Facebook page, and every judge on there said that it could. Not that it mattered because I just made Avermax and then just punched over it anyway. But again, it's just some interaction to remember. This is practically what you're playing the maximum out because you don't want to brick. And double battle damage, piercing, recursion from the grave, pop, and then protection plus our tuner when we need to synchro for John Dragster. But not much to be said about this lineup. The one honorary, of course, is World Legacy Roll Crown. I still cannot find the strength to cut this card, just of how good this card really is. Like I said, like you summon it, and then like as soon as Dragoon tries to pop something, this can negate the Dragoon. Won't destroy it, but it protects your field. And also it gives Echomax a 2k boost, which is really good. But yep, not much can be said here, except for, like I said, during the tournament, I continually, like if I opened Maximus and Leonis, I was continually, like off my Skull Dread. 2 of my cards were at least a Maximus and a Leonis, and you've already special summoned them once per turn. So like it just made it really bad. I did not draw into any superior extenders. And that's really what did me in. Like, I won every dice roll, guys. It was actually quite crazy about the amount of dice rolls that I ended up winning, and still didn't see anything. But then for moving on, we do run the Triple Exceed. This was a superior extender that I saw in my opening hand, but I never saw Skull Dread. But in the hands to where I needed to see a superior extender, I never saw it. And then the hands where I just won, I saw it. So, I mean, it is pretty nice. Like I said, it baits hand traps. That's what it's here for. If they don't hand trap this, it's going to eventually bring out a Rafflesia, which will hand trap, stop a hand trap. That's just something to remember. Then we're rocking Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, Rocket Tracer, and the Magna Rocket. So essentially we just we're back to the Guard Dragon variant, so this is the best card to summon out of LP. And then we are rocking the 2 rockets here. Rocking the rockets, boys. There we go. Tracer and Magna Rocket. This card is just universally so good. And this card is just here to be summoned out with Tracer at the end of the combo if you have the ability to. And then you just play 2 rocket names, because if you happen to open Quick Launch plus your rocket, you lose. And that, again, Quick Launch is such a powerful extender. It's a superior extender. It's one of the cards, like, if you draw off of your Skull Dread, you have the ability to make a Savage at the end of your turn, which is better than nothing. And believe it or not, never saw it. Never saw Quick Launch. Except for some of I think once or twice the entire day, which is quite crazy. One Kaiju game is in the name, a CLC Turtle. This card right here is remarkable. You have to play it this format. And I know, and it's just so upsetting because you couldn't really play this deck because of Infernobles and Dragon Link being able to hand loop you and lock you out. And now this format, those outside of Drytron doing Vanity Lock, you just have to have something that can negate and banish and just totally blow your opponent out of the water. Otherwise, like, all it takes is 1 card, because Zodiac Eldritch, Drytron, every time you negate something, they end up plussing off of it, or they break even. They do not neg in the negation, so you have to have something that can continually negate, and that's what the Kaiju does. Whenever he touched down only 1 game, the entire game. I won. Other than that, I never saw him. I didn't even see him, guys. That's the crazy thing. I never saw him, and most of the times you'll see him before you'll see Waterfront, because he's a 1-of brick, and I didn't even see him. Like, it was just crazy that my bad draws off my Skull Dread were unreal. I've never in my entire life of playing this deck had such bad draws. So then we're rocking triple Waterfront and a Terraforming. This is like the win condition. You play 4 of it, and there's a certain percentage where you're drawing 4 cards off Skull Dread. You have Pot of Avarice. You should see this card. There's a high chance to see it, and that was the entire point of this list, is that if you play the Halifibrex variant, yes, you can put up 3 to 4 interruptions very easily, but only technically if you put up the bare minimum of that deck's board, which is Crystal Wing, Echomax, Crown, or Crystal Wing, Echomax, something else. You're only able to negate 2 Drytron names, assuming Crystal Wing can negate 1 in hand, and then you have like Gossip Shadow or Rafflesia out to negate another one. Other than that, you have no interaction with your opponent's hand, and since every Drytron card activates in hand and Benton activates in the graveyard, you're just going to lose. You're just going to lose because they're just going to out-resource you so heavily, and that's just how it's going to be. And not to mention that that Drytron hard beat Echomax, because they just link off into Enema that forces the Echomax negate right there. So you need something that just allows you to continually negate, and that's what these guys do here, is these guys just practically build counters and just negate, banish, negate, banish, negate, banish. And that's something good about Gamma Seals. Gamma Seal is not once per chain, so as soon as they tribute, like Drytron, either use Thuban in hand, tributing a Benton, they go Thuban effect, then Benton, you can actually negate both effects, which is pretty cool because they both activate on a separate chain, and Gamma Seal is not once per chain by any means, so you can negate both, and it's pretty good. And also negating and banishing the Ritual spell is really good too. Moving on, we're rocking the 3 quick launch. This was a superior extender, and in all my testing with this was, it was good. So that's the entire strategy of the deck, is if you cannot get to Waterfront, put out the next best board, and that's what quick launch allows you to do. But you got to see it. So that, like I said, there's 7 cards so far, 7, 8, 9 superior extenders in the deck that there's 9, 10, 11, 12 superior extenders in the deck that I could have drew off my Skulder, and I didn't. So that's just contributing to just bad luck. But prior to testing this deck performed phenomenal. I can't really say much. This card was like a not once per turn E-Tally. I mean, this card is surprised that it's still around, to be honest with you. But play it while we got it. Moving on, I am actually playing 2 Avarice because we need all gas, no brakes. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to draw this off of our Skull Dread, put back resources, draw more cards. It's another card you can activate if you get Waterfront off of your Skull Dread, which I never did because I'm not good at the game. You can use this to shuffle back, draw 2 more cards, and that'll give Waterfront a counter. And yeah, so it just allows you to put back resources and do it all again. There was actually a game, guys, I 100% am not lying, against Subterra Guru and Dragoon. I resolved 2 of these and a Skull Dread, so that means I drew 8 cards, and I still did not draw anything good. That's just how bad my luck was. It's just crazy, crazy. Moving on, I decided to cut down power to fit in a 1 Call by the Grave, because this deck loses to Droll, and Droll is being sided pretty hard against Drytron, so I needed to have just the chance, the ability to see Call by to hopefully be able to stop something. Normally I'd play 3 power and then like Reinforcing the Army, etc., etc., but Reinforcing the Army, you activate that, they Droll you, you lose. At least in the sense of if you get Magias off, you can at least search something to kind of put up something, you know what I mean? But Call by the Grave here was just a one-of to kind of protect my boards and to also protect LP. I think you were a combo deck. I had to make room for this just because of practically Droll existing. I'd rather have this and then answer the Droll than get Drolled and not even have the option to have this card. Moving on, the 3 powerful one-ofs right here. Now, something to note, guys, something I'd really like to bring up. As much as I am complaining about not drawing anything, my deck performed phenomenally getting 2 Skull Dread. They were multiple times I was hand-trapped, and by drawing like Guard Dragon, Succession, or Reborn, or just my other superior extenders, I was able to play through that. But it was just a Skull Dread draw not giving me anything ultimately. I got Herald, I got Ashed, you name it. So this deck can successfully play through 1 to 2 hand traps pretty easily if you have the right opening or if you have the right extenders. But if you don't draw anything off your Skull Dread, at the end of the day, it does not matter. Moving on, we are back to maining triple perms. The reason we are playing this is because of Vanity's Fiend. You have to have some main deck way to beat that. And yeah, I thought that Imperm was the best option. You just use this on the Fiend. You can use this on Winda. However, I was fortunate enough to never have to go through a Winda. I just went through Vanity Ruler all day. And yeah, so there was a big misplay on my part. I had drew this for turn. The guy just had a Vanity Ruler. I drew this, and I had 1 card set. He left my card up, so I couldn't just immediately imperm it, and I just set the imperm and passed. And what I should have done is crashed my monster, then impermed, then comboed off, and I would have won that. But, you know, just misplays like that. And then for the final 2 traps, guys, we are rocking 1 Gravediggers, 1 Crawler. Again, engine requirement to stop hand traps. Makes your Echo Max one of the best negates in the game and gets you a World Legacy card, which you play 3 World Legacies in the list. Imperm is just really solid, just because, again, in worst case scenarios, if like you get like a bad hand but you're able to get the turtle out and you have Imperm will be able to potentially negate a card, which will then fuel Kyoto Waterfront counters. And then if you use it in a column or something like that, you know, just stuff like that. You just had to have a main deck out to Vanity Ruler, in my opinion. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, rocking the beautiful Queen of the Forest Field Center. Again, guys, this should be on the website here. Sometime in February, just working all the kinks and stuff. Just beautiful, guys. Beautiful. Had Midnight Dreams through the artwork. So, there we go. We decided to, this is like, played Still the Magius. Spatha's back in the deck because we're playing the Guard Dragon variant. Regulex, Equimax, Avermax. So, these guys are extremely, extremely good. You play these guys. In the previous Halifibrex list, you just played 2 Magius, Regulex, and Equimax. But since we are playing Guard Dragon, we can play these other 2, which is Avermax and Spatha. And like I said, Avermax touched down way more than any other card in my deck really did. Avermax with power or Avermax alone can hold the line very well. He is not good enough. I hate to say it. He is not good enough alone because, you know, Zeus exists. At least in the Zeus scenario, if they attack and they make Zeus, Avermax goes, I get the last Sand Shuffles back the Zeus, so you just practically solve the Zeus. I did have a guy stack up and make a huge Zeus and then just send my Avermax. Avermax just shuffled back the Zeus, and he then it was a top decking game after that. But, I mean, it is what it is. This move stuff, this gets you spell and traps. This is one of the best negates in the game, allowing us to negate Dark Ruler no more and Forbidden Droplets with interactions with Crawler, Quick Launch, and Crusadia Power. Not much more can be said about the Crusadia lineup, but we'll go on to LP, Triple Burst, and Skull Dread. LP attempted to eat a bunch of hand traps, but I had like superior extenders, allowing me to play through it, which was no big deal. Triple Burst is in here in case LP gets Ash, so you can link up and then make Avermax, or in the case of where you get a Waterfront off of your Skull Dread and you have to like send 3 monsters to the graveyard to make this to get the counters on the Waterfront to get that. And then these guys right here just make Avermax and Gamma which is still good. Skull Dread. I've never in my life had such bad draws off of Skull Dread. Like, It was just so bad. But other than that, it's a phenomenal card. It draws you 4 cards, fixes a hand, put back bricks, because you will see bricks in this deck if you're me. I don't think I can recall a hand where I did not see a single brick or a single card I was not too, like a single card that I was like, ugh. But you get to put them back with Skull Dread and special summon out the Gamma Seal, which is important. 1 Link Spider. This came up once. You have to have the ulti Link Spider, because if they're going to rock you, at least you can turn their token into a ultimate beautiful card and then just cry because you don't have extenders. But in the times that I did, the one time I did get rock, I had the extenders and just played through it. He rocked me. I made Link Spider, went up into Dragster and an Avermax, which was really cool. But it's all thanks to having Link Spider in the next deck. For Synchros, we are rocking Savage and Dragster. Savage is in here because, of course, you can make Savage with Tracer. You can either use Tracer in any of your level 4s, become a Savage, or you can use a Tracer's effect to like pop like your Guard Dragon, stuff like that, to be able to summon out the Magna Rocket from the deck if you haven't used it already, which then lets you Synchro make this. And you can get this guy to have 4 counters because you'll equip the Skull Dread here with him, which is pretty good. But that's it for the Synchros. Moving on, we're Douglas the Timeless, and then Tracer and Dweller. So this right here, I just had to cut out because you guys will know I'm no longer playing the Speedroid Terratop or Tachyton board, which was a last-minute decision. I had to cut those for impermanences. But this guy was put in here as a level rank 4 option to make. However, I never made this guy once, and something that was brought up to me after it was all said and done was I should probably look into playing Baguska if I can want to continue with this list, because Baguska can just summon itself, and it's pretty good. You know what I mean? Baguska is really solid. A lot of decks cannot play through a Baguska, and that's something I probably will put in because this effect never came up. In theory, I thought about putting it in. It would allow me to OTK when I wasn't able to like get Maximus out. However, I never had the option to summon this. And in some cases, I kind of wish I had the ability to make a Baguska instead. But yeah, not much more can be said. Dweller's here because Dweller craps on Drytron, craps on Dinos, craps on Eldritch. Rafflesia here is just simply to protect us from hand traps so that we can be more versatile and not just lose to a single hand trap. I'm going to show you guys my side. My side deck was probably one of my weakest aspects of my list here. But, you know, it is what it is. We are rocking Triple Bell. In my opinion, you have to play some form of like graveyard disruption, whether it be Crow, Bell, or Meister. You just got to play something of it. I decided to play 3 Dark Lure no more. You need to have some like this or droplets or something, you know, so that you can defeat the Herald plus Vanity Lock. And again, or going into opposing I'm trying to think of their name, the opposing combo deck, Virtual World boards and stuff like that. This is really good. Triple Droll and Lockbird, because Drytron exists, you need to have the ability to shut them off. And this card really does truly can end their turn completely. We are playing Triple Chalice. I have not bought droplets. I probably will never buy droplets until they come down in price, because even though I can afford them, I'm not about to spend that much on a card. There should be no reason that card should be its price, but this is my budget option. Chalice is really good along with impermanence in case they hard open, you know, if they make... It's just another additional negate to out Ruler and VFD, because the bad thing about imperm with VFD is, you know, like if you fire off VFD right off, they'll just chain the VFD. And if you normal summon, you shut off impermanence, and then they can just VFD you. This way, if you normal summon, they go VFD, you can chain lance negate it. But yeah, moving on, we did have like 3 forms of back row removal. I decided Cosmic Cyclone. You could potentially, I've kind of wanted to play like 3 back row removals. I was thinking about playing like Red Reboot, Harpies, and then like a Hatronade. And people are going to be like, why would you play Hatronade? Just simply because Hatronade can just bounce everything, which is extremely good. And like even if it is like Eldritch and they can just flip over their stuff and like chain to it, that's fine, because if you activate the Hatronade right away, they're not going to be able to banish your stuff. They're going to have to force everything out right there. That means Sanguine, all that stuff is going to have to go ahead and come out. And then you can just construct your board without having to worry about being habaneroed or conked, which is really nice. But yeah, that is it, guys. Not much can be said. Like I said, my Skull Dread draws were just really bad. I hope to like kind of test with this a little bit more. I actually did end up picking up the rest of the cards I need for Infernoble, so I'm going to be picking that deck up and testing it quite heavily as well. I also plan to do a lot more Fire Fist stuff. I've been working on combos and stuff like that too. But remember, guys, this is Charles from Team COG. If you guys liked what you saw, hit a like, hit a subscribe, comment down below. But I am signing out.